This is the inside of the trunk of my Chevelle. So I'm gonna raise this fuel cell up. Right now it's through the frame rails here and hanging below the frame rails about, I don't know, an inch or two, and I'm gonna raise it back up on top of the frame rail. Probably end up putting the fuel pump right in here. I'm gonna have to raise it up because I'm mounting the radiator under the trunk. Got the fuel cell out. Fuel pump mount cut off the frame here. And bent some bars, 3/4 DOM that's gonna come down, come over about 7 inches in the front here, about 3 inches in the back here to mount the radiator. So it'll be tucked up behind the quarter panel. All right, I made the mount for the fuel cell, the radiator here, but I don't like it, so I'm gonna cut it off and make it different. I bent this piece of 3/4 up right here. That's a whole loop the size of the radiator, so this will be on the outside of the radiator all the way around. Instead of this one where the radiator actually sits on top of here and overhangs a little bit, it's super hard to get the radiator in and out of there. So yeah, I just don't like it. I'm gonna cut it off and redo it with this one. And then I bent up this piece of aluminum here. That'll be my fan shroud for the electric fans. So I'll cut this out and get that welded together and tacked up in there. This is the tray, I guess, that I ended up with. This is the radiator mount. These standoffs here will weld to the bottom of the 2x3 frame rail. Obviously, I got to plug this hole and this hole. This is going to be my aluminum fan shroud that I bent up. I still got to cut it out for my fans. So yeah, I'm out of argon, so I can't TIG weld my covers for these. And then I bought 16 AN, which I'm going to put in the side here and come out for my hose. And then same with over here, I'll come out the side here with 90s. I have these 16 AN fittings that I'll weld on there, like so. And then wherever the cap was, I cut that off. Right there, I also have to weld a cover over that. But I have these tabs here that I made out of aluminum that I'll TIG weld to the radiator, and then the bolt will come up through the bottom. I'll hold this aluminum fan shroud on, and then it'll go through these tabs right here that I got from A&A Manufacturing, and then it'll go right up into this block that I weld onto the radiator. So that's the plan. I'll get it up on the car, weld those on, and then I have to wait to fill my TIG welder to finish welding the aluminum, and then I can run the lines. Got it mocked up. I'm gonna weld these to the frame and then wait for the TIG welder to be filled. So that's how it'll be under the car. As you can see, when you're in line with a quarter panel, you might just barely see the bottom of it a little bit. You're definitely gonna see the fans hanging down, but there's not really anything I can do about it. Plus, the car sits pretty low, so with the car sitting as low as it does, you're not really gonna see the fans much. Hopefully, it works out. It stays nice and cool. Got my weld tank filled, so I'm gonna weld on the fittings to the radiator. This one here, I don't really like how close that would be to the back tire, so I think I'm gonna put it on the corner right here. So I'll mark that with a Sharpie before I pull it out so I can weld that in. And then the top hose from the water pump I'm gonna put right here. Try to put it up kind of in the corner. That way, if there's any air, it's pretty much the highest point of the radiator, so there's no air pockets in there. So that one will be kind of high. And then I'll weld the caps over the old inlets and outlets on it. So I have these aluminum tabs here to weld on also. Sorry, not tabs, they're a threaded block that I'm gonna weld to bolt the radiator down. But first I'm gonna weld all my fittings on there. So I'll mark them, pull it out, weld the fittings on, and then figure out where I gotta weld the threaded blocks on there to bolt it down. I got these pieces of aluminum here, 1/4 inch thick, drilled and tapped. And I'm gonna mark them, pull the radiator back out, and I'm gonna weld them on there, and then the radiator will be done. I got the dash 16 bungs all welded on right here. I welded caps over the hole. This was the original lower over here. I welded the cap on. This is the filler neck was here, and then the upper hose was in the back over there. So this is still gonna be the upper hose running to the motor here, and it's the highest point on the radiator back here. And this is the lower hose from the motor. I got the lines made the other day, Obviously I still have to tie them up and tighten everything down, but I wanted to weld the tabs on the radiator first. So I'm gonna pull that out, weld them on after I mark it, and then radiator will be done. Radiator's all made, mounted. Lines are pretty much ran, still have to tie them up a little bit, but got the fans mounted. Those are off a Cadillac from the junkyard. This is dash 16. This is from the upper hose from the motor. Comes around. As you can see, I still have to tie up those, but I pulled the trans out, getting it freshened up right now with some upgrades. Lower the car down and show you how I set up the front of it. This is the front of the car. I'm gonna have to do something with this. Probably gonna end up wrapping this exhaust pipe here with some header wrap and then tying this line over so it's not so close. This will be my high fill point here, and then it runs top of the water pump here. I welded this steel fitting in. It's JIC, which is steel. So it's the same as a 16 AN, but it's JIC. And then I welded a dash 16 AN fitting to this aluminum swivel water pump. This is the thermostats behind this, so I guess it'd be the thermostat housing with a 45 here around the balancer. Like I said, still got to tie that stuff up, adjust it a little bit, but I can't really start the car until I get the trans back, so waiting for the trans to come back before we go any farther with that. So far, I'm happy with the way everything fit and mounted. These 16 AN lines were a pain in the butt to put together, which I figured they would be, but. All right, on to the next thing, which will probably be mounting the fuel cell in the back.